I think it brings into question this notion of connection. And sometimes there's a kind of a conflict between the part of us that wants to feel grounded and connected and roots, and the part of us that is very much alone, even within the context of very close relationships, okay? So the risk we take when we go out into the world is that we would find ourselves alone, but not just alone, but lonely. Lonely being the painful part of aloneness, okay? Because we want or need someone or something that we can rely on. But I think the truth is, and this is kind of an existential idea, is that actually we are alone. Because no one lives the life we live. No one shares the same path and the same journey. And even between the closest of people, there's a big gap of knowing and being understood and how it is that we might share all that there is. And so it's really when we embrace that idea and we accept that this is my life and no one can live it and it is mine to explore, and we sort of move loneliness into a more accepted place, that we then can see that that's true for everyone, and that we can bridge that difference, not because we're merging ourselves or fitting in ways that everybody is the same, but because we have a deep respect for the journey we're on and how sometimes scary it is, and sometimes it's, we can feel very alone, very isolated, very separate. But at the same time, we can feel remarkably connected and capable of feeling each other and having compassion for each other and realizing that, we're all needing the same kind of human understanding and support, and I think that's really what I've loved about being abroad, is that the connection that feels the most secure is when I'm able to share an empathetic and understanding and mutually compassionate connection, that we're in this together and we're, maybe we're messy, any one of us, but at the foundation is something different. It's this humanness, and it's an acceptance of that humanness. Like, none of us has got it all figured out, that's for sure.
I have a question. Well, I actually wanted to share a thought that came to me recently. I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about it, from your different perspectives of traveling, because I often think, like, I ask myself this question every month, maybe every week: why did I go? Why did I leave? What was I running away from? And to what extent it's a shared story, people who left. I mean, we travel because we want to explore, but also there is this theme that something made me feel uncomfortable where I was. I didn't feel like I belong. What you said, you realized that you didn't belong, so you left. Same story here. So, I often think what it's about. And recently it occurred to me that it might have to do something with this wish not to, this unconscious impulse, I don't want to exist here. It's, we often think about not belonging, that our surroundings make us feel uncomfortable. So what I realized about myself, that I was horrified that if I am myself, if I act like authentically, I'm gonna make my surroundings feel uncomfortable. So I'm gonna make other people feel uncomfortable. And I just couldn't bear it. So I just sort of removed myself from the picture. And the world, which allows to travel and to move from place to place, it creates this opportunity, like you can actually act out on your impulse, like I don't want to exist, I don't want to cause discomfort, without, So you don't have to end your life, let's say. You just have to end your life here, and then you can go. The problem about it is that why would you want to connect in the next place where you move? Because this is also a very common trope that I feel like I hear it quite a lot. People come to a new place and they just stay in this state of constant dissociation. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm watching a movie. Somehow I'm in the movie, it's beautiful, but I'm not here. So this theme that I'm not here because maybe I'm still afraid to be here, because what happens if I connect and then, I'm back to the same story. I'm uncomfortable, and if I start being myself, others are going to be uncomfortable. So I feel like it has to do with building these deep relationships, and eventually it sort of brings you back to where you started. I'm just curious to hear what you think about it.
I actually never experienced consciously that feeling of if I'm staying, I'm gonna show my real self, and that feels scary. I never thought about it actually. I think every time I left a place, it was more because I had a very big curiosity in me of knowing the different phases of myself. Like, if I go there and I connect with that culture, I will discover a new person that is in me. And I try to explore that as much as possible, but of course, partly it's very, it's very like you create your ideas, you have your expectations of how is the Eva version in Vietnam, and then you get there, and then you have to go through all different stages. I think I never experienced that feeling, but I will think about the fear or the scary part of showing your real self. I think every time I move it's been because I was kind of happy in the moment, and I felt like enough strong to be like, okay, I have the energy and the strength to move on.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. It's a very beautiful idea. Discover a new part of yourself in each new place, and can also relate to that. It's definitely the most amazing part about traveling.
Yeah, you also discover little monsters that comes and knock to you like, hey, you move, but I'm still here, and I transform in another shape. But I really like the idea of living in another country, just because it's also hard. Like, it's an effort you have to put normally, or not in every country, but in your hometown, you know the culture, you know the people, you know how everything works. And in another new country, you have to be curious, you have to awake your senses and be more like, okay, here I am, I only have one life, so let's explore it.
Yeah. I'm trying to reflect on the past, like the wandering part of myself, because it's been, right now I've been here in Hoi An for a year and 3 months, and I really enjoy the moment so much that I cannot even imagine myself traveling again for a while. I have this, I told Eva about it, like a part of myself, the old part of myself is, I miss her because she loves to travel. She have this huge curiosity, like I want to go there. I feel like I was always chasing the high, like, oh, I want to go here. And for me, I just do it alone. I don't wait for anyone to go with me because I need support or whatever. But I miss that. And then, but also, my intention of coming here is to build and create and ground. So I actually had this inner fight last year about staying, even if it was painful because of the rainy season, or shall I move away again to somewhere which is sunny? But then I stick to that intention of staying, and the little monsters inside came out. I didn't know that they existed, and those those part of myself, I feel like that's the fragmented part of ourself that didn't come out, and they've been sleeping for the whole time, and now they have been triggered, and I was dealing with those part of myself that led me to somewhere that make me, I felt so much peace, because I knew that time during the inner fight that, okay, I have to face this now. I can't run away anymore. I chose to face it. And then it was so painful and so uncomfortable, but then I was really sticking to the intention of staying here. And after that rainy days, it was so sunny and beautiful, and then I felt like, oh, it's all worth it. So I don't know what was the main topic was, but the little monsters is actually part of ourselves sometimes too.
Well, yes, self-discovery, expanding into this notion of our whole self, some of us, me included, have to overcome limitations that have to do with things being imposed, expectations, the ways in which we're supposed to be, behave, look. And so I think for many people, many wanderers, there is that push past those limitations, the limitations that feel like they're outside of us, that keep us from discovering our whole self. And maybe not even realizing that there is a whole self to discover. There are ways in which to be true to ourselves, we can go into territory that we wouldn't even realize when we're responding or behaving according to norms that are pre-decided. For me, I had the experience probably similar to your age. When I was younger, I pushed past the perception I had of the limitations my family and my subculture, particularly the religious part of it, imposed on me. And when I pushed past it as a rebel, I knew more about who I wasn't or didn't want to be than who I was. And of course, because I was making other people unhappy, I also felt like, oh, I must be bad somehow, not pleasing other people. And so I lived into some of that. I did things that weren't very self-caring. They just kind of knew that I had to be bad in order to get out of the constraints that held me in. And it was really in my 30s and 40s that I started to ask and understand the question about who am I, in ways that allowed me to think more broadly about what that is. And in the beginning, it's kind of identity. Well, who am I based on what do I identify with? What do I like to do? How do I? And I think eventually, even shedding those labels and ideas and the ways of thinking, oh, that's who I am. I'm a psychotherapist, or I'm a football player, or I'm a this or that. I think that's another thing that happens when we're exploring the world and being less over-identified with that question, who am I, to the point where we can more freely experience who we are as we're living it. so we can get closer to the present moment where we're just in it. And it doesn't have to be who I am, but how I am, how I'm living life, in the moment, here and now. And when curiosity is a primary driving force, it's a beautiful thing to discover. And we can get past especially having to get approval, because a lot of the who we are is an attempt to win the approval that then gives us the permission to keep going. And if this goes back to some of the conversation we had about needs, we need self-acceptance. How do we get it? Often we go through the approval system, approval from others, and then, oh, I can approve of myself. But if we can already get that approval or give that to ourselves, as I see you're doing so much, then we allow ourselves to be free to explore, to make mistakes, to see what's next, and to discover what we could say is our whole true self, or all the ways that we can be close to what that is. I'd like to talk more about the monsters, okay? Because those are the parts that come along, and what are they? Should we run away from them? Should we invite them? What is? So right now that's a metaphoric term, but what? So both of you were going, yeah. So what? Does it help to say, well, my monster is what?